one area which we haven't got to touch on yet was elderly, the aging population, which is a huge problem across the world. Same problem, different issues. So in Asia, you have the family nucleus, you talked about taking care of them. But sometimes it's not only about having family and friends around, it's also the cognitive issues as well, right? There's Alzheimer's, there's dementia, there's unintentional falls, which, as in our pre-discussion, we talked about how it's the sixth killer in terms of the death rate, right? What are your plans for this space, and where do you want to move into?
Yeah, you're right. It is a very interesting area. It is good news that we all grow older and that the world population still rises. So, for example, we now have more than 700 million people that are over 65, and we expect that to double in the next 15 to 20 years. So there's a lot of elderly people to take care of. So like I said, it's good news that we all get older, but the bad news and the flip side of it is that we also see more of the diseases that are related to age. Stroke, for example. The good news is we already see more people surviving a stroke today, but just looking to that and combine it with the growth, we will see more than 70 million stroke survivors in 10 years from now. So that's where we already have some equipment where we can help. That's the good news. But you would also see other things. You mentioned falling. Currently, 30% of the people over 65 have a risk of fall each year. And all the injuries related to that fall, it could be physical, like fractured bones, or more the social aspect, like fear, institutionalization of those people, that already costs us 10 billion US a year. And like you said, it's actually the sixth cause of death in elderly. So it's huge, and with Motec we already have some products to reduce fall risk, because you can train people how to fall or how to walk more stable. And we've seen with just a couple of sessions that you can already significantly reduce the risk of falling. So that's great news. My personal opinion is that the falling problem is going to increase, because a lot of our children or young adults are sitting on the couch nowadays more than they play outside.
Right.
And playing outside is actually where you gain the skill of having balance or fall properly. So I guess that the problem, I expect the problem actually going to be worse. You also mentioned Parkinson's disease. Also a huge problem, because we have more than 10 million people suffering from Parkinson's. Of course, you cannot cure the disease with equipment we make. Maybe medicine can, but the rehabilitation equipment can't. But we have the right technology to improve the quality of life. You have Apple Watches, Google Glass, whatever that can help them to initiate a step, to have a constant gait speed, all those things that they are struggling with in the day-to-day life. And finally, a big one you mentioned was dementia. So if you're older than 60, you have an 8% chance of getting dementia, which is a lot. And it's even more than 40% when you're over 90. So what can you do with that? Just like Parkinson's, it's not something you can solve, but you can also raise the quality of life there, just with some fun cognitive games, for example, or just bring them comfort to bring them back in the virtual world, Singapore 50 years ago or something.
Reminiscing their past.
Yeah, because that's what dementia does. You don't have your short-term memory, but you have your good memories from your youth. And it could be very comforting for those people that struggle in a day-to-day life just to go back to where they feel safe. That's where we have the technology nowadays with VR glasses and those kind of things. And also connecting people. Maybe more important in Europe and the US, where people like to have very independent life, a little bit more than in Asia, where family takes care of family. But still, they want to connect with peers, they want to connect with their doctors. And the technology is there, so huge potential.
Agreed. You talked about a setting where you are thrown back to your past 50, 60 years ago. Mm-hmm. I think it's interesting because you have such a wide view on things. It's not just one solution, it's integration of clinical care, outpatient treatment, in-home treatment, settings. It's because it's a lot of things we're talking about is neurological based, right? Like dementia is largely due to the amyloid plaque that builds up in the brain. Right? Yeah, you can treat it with pharmacological solutions, but it's a holistic. It has to be holistic to be able to deliver good results. And I think it's the only way to go. It's a good and bad thing that people are starting to recognize how important quality of life is. I mean, you can live to 80, 90 based on the current stats, but how many years of that is you have good quality of life, right? I think currently the number is like you lose 6 to 7 years just due to disability alone, right? That's a long time. So I think the direction is completely right, and we have to address this.
Yeah. I think the most interesting thing is to what you see with futurologists. You know, they have the big stories about what is new technologies, and if you look at the past, AI is new. AI is not new. It was already in the 60s here. We're going to print bones with 3D printers. Well, you can buy a 3D printer nowadays. So when they all come to the conclusion, if you listen to them carefully now, the future is now. The technology is here.
Yeah.
It's all about adaptation and application in the right way. And I think that is where our industry is keen to look at. We have everything. We have your Apple Watch. We have those things. How can you use it? And that's fun from a technology perspective, but also a social perspective, because there are always struggles, like privacy. How important is privacy? It's crucial for everybody. Nobody wants to know. But if it can cure you, would you share your information?
Exactly.
Yeah. Google Maps. Oh, they know exactly where I am. Yes, but they're all sharing information, and that's why I have a traffic jam coming up.
Exactly. We've talked a lot about the business, your vision in the space, where you see the market going. Maybe we could shift gears towards personal life. As diplomatically as you might put it, 6 months has been interesting. But how are you managing it? What do you do with your family, your free time? What are your areas of interest?
Well, I love Singapore, really.
The weather as well.
Well, it's raining a lot now, so that's a bad news, but you get used to the weather. And actually, what I realized when I went back to the Netherlands over Christmas is that my body really had troubles getting used to the weather changes. So in Singapore, it's either hot or it's cold when you're in airco. So your body basically has two switches where you need to be. And in the Netherlands, when you wake up, it's 0, and at the middle of the day, it could be 20. So that's different. No, I love living in Singapore. It's sort of Asia made easy, I would almost say, because I love Asia. I travel a lot in Asia now, but in Singapore you can find everything in an easy way. So you have all the advantages of meeting different cultures. Food is amazing. While still have safety, I have young children actually go to a Dutch school. Feels a little bit like cheating, but you have those facilities here. And that makes Singapore a great place. And also from a business perspective, you see that Singapore is one of the few neutral countries. Because that's a business challenge for us as well when we educate what we call instructors. So our best clients can have people that train other clients. You see a lot of limitations in Asia. Like if you cannot send a Malay person to different regions or those kinds of things. And Singapore is in that sense neutral. And that's also the reason why we choose Singapore as a base. And it both reflects in the business as in a personal life.
Wonderful. Could you tell us a little bit about your kids? What are they into, and where have you discovered areas of interest for them?
Well, they're quite young, so they're 10, 7, and 5. So they're still exploring interest. And I wonder where we go. I think that the middle one is really into technology. So that's nice. I didn't see that with my old one. I have 2 young girls and 1 older son. But I have to say, the education system here is also amazing. Especially, it is sort of a private school, obviously, but they do a lot of activities next to school, and my son started programming this week.
Wow.
So I was really curious how that would hit off, and the last 2 days I've seen him programming a lot, and I'm already thinking about how can I change that to rehabilitation, what would be his interest, and so they're exploring, and we don't put any pressure on them. Both my wife and myself did a lot of studying and have masters and all kinds of skills. We're not going to put the pressure on them, but I'm 100% sure that already these 6 months leapfrogged them life compared to their peers in the Netherlands.
You know, Barry, I think the region as a whole is better off having you and your family and your team here, because you bring a global perspective, but you're also very sensitive to the nuances within each country and region, right? I believe that's the only way we can move forward, mixing what they believe in with what we know and how we can help them move and leapfrog in terms of treatment and care, and making sure hospitals don't get choked up with patients as well, and pushing out the care to the homes, right? I think it's critical. And we're very excited to have you on board leading the business here, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your compliment. I hope I have that the antennas to have all those cultural sensitive things. I still have a lot to learn, especially being Dutch. Dutch are known for being blunt, so I can receive a lot of feedback, but in Asia you have to find it out a little bit. A lot of things are hidden contacts, so that's fine.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.